You're in a group of friends. Everyone's talking loudly, laughing, throwing opinions around, and you're there, listening, processing, thinking before you open your mouth. Then comes that phrase, "Wow, you're really quiet, aren't you?" As if silence were a flaw, as if thinking before speaking were a sign of weakness. The world calls this shyness, insecurity, but neuroscience calls it something completely different: elaborate cognitive processing. And no, you're not slow. You just don't waste words. Let's get straight to what happens in your brain. While most people operate in what we call reactive mode of stimulus, in response out, you function differently. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for complex thought and planning, is much more active before you verbalize anything. Neuroimaging studies show that people who think before they speak have greater connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system, which controls emotions. In other words, you don't just think about what you're going to say. You assess the emotional impact. You measure the consequences. You filter. This isn't insecurity. This is real-time emotional intelligence. Now look at the contrast. The world out there is a chaos of information. People interrupting each other. Superficial conversations. Constant noise. Everyone wanting to be heard. Nobody really listening. It's visual, auditory, and emotional stimulation all the time. Everything fast, everything urgent, everything without depth. And in the midst of all this, you choose to pause. You choose to process. You choose to speak only when you have something worth saying. Do you know what that represents for your nervous system? Control. While everyone else is being swept away by the current, you choose where to step. You don't react. You respond. And there's a huge difference between those two things. And here's the fact that'll surprise you. Researchers at the University of Michigan discovered that people who speak less and think more before expressing themselves perform significantly better on tests of critical thinking and complex problem solving. Do you know why? Because while everyone else is busy talking, you're busy understanding. You observe patterns. You pick up on nuances. You process layers that others don't even realize exist. So when you finally speak, you don't just throw words into the air. You deliver insights, you offer clarity, and people feel that, even if they can't name it, but social media culture has sold you a different narrative, hasn't it? That you need to be spontaneous, authentic, that you have to say everything that comes to mind, the moment it comes to mind. That silence is strange, that pausing is uncomfortable. But think about it. How many arguments could have been avoided if people thought for 2 seconds before speaking? How many regrets were born from words thrown out without a filter? The truth is that happiness isn't about talking more. It's about talking better. It's about that deep, late-night conversation where every sentence matters. It's about the comfortable silence with someone you love. It's about saying no when you need to and saying yes when it makes sense. That's not insignificant. That's rare. But let's be honest, there's a fine line. Thinking before speaking is wisdom, but remaining silent out of fear of judgment is imprisonment. If you don't speak because you're afraid of the reaction, because you think your opinion doesn't matter, because you feel invisible and prefer to remain that way, that's not control. That's self-censorship. So ask yourself this question now. When you choose to remain silent, is it because you have nothing to say, or because you're afraid of what others will think? If it's fear, it's not about thinking before speaking. It's about not allowing yourself to exist, and that needs to be looked at carefully. Now imagine this. You're in a conversation! Everyone's talking at once, tripping over each other, nobody really listening, and you're there, observing, feeling the rhythm, waiting for the right moment. Then you speak a sentence. Clear, direct, and everyone stops to listen. Because it had weight, because it had intention. That's your power. You don't fill the space with noise. You fill the space with meaning. And in a world where everyone is shouting, those who speak softly and with purpose always stand out. So, understand this. You're not stuck. You're not uninteresting. You're not missing your chance to shine. You just chose a different path. You chose depth instead of volume, quality instead of quantity. And you know what? The right people will value you precisely for that. Because in a world of noise, you are clarity. In a world of impulse, you are reflection. And that, my friend, is a strength that few have the courage to cultivate. But now tell me, why can some people be alone with their own thoughts while others despair? Why do some people love silence and others do everything to escape it? The answer is in the next video that will appear on your screen. And I guarantee you, it will affect you on a level you don't expect. Don't miss it. And if you're one of those people who thinks before speaking, who values the depth of words, subscribe to the channel. Leave a like too, because that's how we spread this kind of content to those who truly understand. And watch that video that's popping up on the screen right now. It completes this conversation in a way that will make you want to watch it again. We'll see you there. And remember, your words have weight because you chose to give them weight. Never apologize for that.